like a while now. What we've learned is there are about 101 billion mistakes that you can possibly do. We've done a good chunk of them, and our job here is to try and let y'all know what they are so that hopefully when you go through them, they're not that bad. I got some videos. I was hoping for the projector, but we don't have that, so we can show you some and just kind of give you some ideas, but we'll get to that in a bit. So, does anybody have any ideas, like why you came to this panel, like videos that you want to make, whether it's just like YouTube videos or if you actually want to get into a career like that?
I was actually, before I came here, I was planning to make the animation.
Okay.
Yeah, I have the music all set up, I just have to actually animate now.
Okay, there's several programs that you can use to animate stuff. You can go very old school like Flash, which is a great thing to do like vector animation, but they have a lot of really great new programs. They're not the easiest thing in the world to use. I don't know if you've tried to use any of them, but they're a little confusing. So definitely, like, and you're young, you look young, but don't let that deter you. You can actually go to your local community colleges, no matter how young you are. You can sign up for an animation class right now and just take it like during the summer. It's not actually expensive. Like, it's surprisingly easy because you're probably in high school, right?
No, I just graduated.
Just graduated. Okay, so then you're fine. You're just really young. But yeah, you can just take an animation class at a local community college, and bam, you'll have the skills, and you can start making.
Even if a kid, someone my age could take one.
How old are you?
12.
With your mom's consent or dad's consent, you can actually. They just need to like sign a bunch of paperwork.
Yeah, they probably be willing to.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. I started doing classes like that back when I was in 10th grade. So, but I knew people that had been doing it back like in middle school and stuff like that. And actually in elementary school, I would teach some summer classes like right now in college, and they're all elementary students. So it's like they're really just trying to get kids like involved. And we do classes like that too, just how to animate stuff. That's what I'm telling you. You can totally do this. So yes. But what we're mostly focusing in here, and this actually translates over to animation as well, is how to do fan films with like cameras and stuff. But it's a lot of the same stuff because it's how do you pose, how do you write stories, how do you do scripts, add the music, things like that. Okay, so does anybody here know anything about like filming or putting stories together, scripts? Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, it is a lot easier than you think it is, and a lot harder than what people tell you. So if I tell you it's easy, I'm lying. It's actually harder, and if I tell you it's harder, it's actually easier than you think. Okay, the reason why is because everything can go wrong, and usually does, but that's okay because yeah, exactly. You learn a lot from your mistakes, and you learn to not make those again. So when we started filming, we used a tiny little handheld JVC camera, right? And we would put those together in the computer and just make little videos. And they were cool and all, and we had fun. The most important thing is to have fun. If it gets to a point where you're not having fun, where you're literally, something's wrong. Like you're doing something very, very wrong. And after a while, we weren't having fun anymore. And we're like, this is just really hard work. Like, something's not right, you know? So we're like, all right, what are we not enjoying, you know? And we realized that we were starting to argue a lot about just the story. And so we're like, all right, so we need to define roles, you know? You need to be in charge of the story, then you need to be in charge of editing the story, then you need to be in charge of talking to the people that are going to be in the story that we just wrote and telling them what to do and stuff like that. So everybody has their job, so you're not telling him how to do his job, and he's not telling you how to do your job, and back and forth, because that's how arguments start, right? And this is called like deciding who's going to be like producer, who's going to be the director, who's going to be the the director of photography, who's like the person that, decides how the shots are going to be set up. We have the cameraman, who's like only in charge of fiddling with the camera and making sure that everything looks good through there. And so once everybody has their job, a lot of the arguments go away. Now mind you, what I'm telling you is from the basis of not like super ultra Hollywood type stuff. This is stuff you can do right now, like with your friends, like just go outside and you're like, hey guys, let's make a video, okay? So that's the type of stuff that we're gonna cover here. So once you all have your jobs kind of assigned, like I'm in charge of this, you're in charge of that, and those jobs are assigned based on what you like, I like holding the camera, I'm gonna do that. Well, I like dealing with the people and kind of getting them in character and stuff. Okay, cool. Well, I only like acting, fine, you're only gonna be an actor, you know, like that type of stuff, which is great. The important thing is to rotate jobs. Well, this time we film this way, next time we're gonna film this way, next time you'll have this job, back and forth, because that's the only way that you'll find out what you're good at and what you actually like. Okay, you don't want to do the same thing always. Not only that, but whenever I started doing like working with the actors, I was like, man, this is a lot more hard work than I thought, because they don't listen. You know, and you realize that the other person that was working with the actors, you're like, wow, I thought that their job was easy, and so I was giving them a hard time about it, but now I see how hard it is, right? And then I was working with the camera, and I was trying to explain to somebody else, you don't understand, this isn't gonna work. And they're like, why not? Just film it, just film it. And it's like, but it's not gonna look good, right? And then when it was their turn to hold the camera, they're like, man, I understand what you're talking about now. Like, yeah, there was no way you could have done that. And it's like, yeah, but you wouldn't know unless you switch jobs. So that's important. Another thing that people tend to forget about is the equipment that you use. There is a lot of people that believe that there's no wrong equipment to use. And then there's a lot of people that are like, nah, you can only use like the best cameras, the best lenses and stuff like that. The truth is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's all about what you want to film and how you film it. You can have the best camera in the world, but you can have a really terrible story and nobody will like your movie, Hollywood. And or you can, or you can have like a rinky-dinky type camera, but you upload it to YouTube and you've got millions of people going, oh my God, this is the best thing ever, right? You know, it all depends on your story. That's where you really, really want to put your time and effort and motivation into, is create a good story. And you don't really want to start filming your story until you're done with it. Okay? Because what happens sometimes, and this also happens with like Hollywood type movies, is they'll write a story and they'll be like, oh yeah, this is great and stuff, and they're like, okay, cool, well there isn't going to be a second part, right? So they make this movie, and then they're like, oh, well let's make a second one. Okay, so they write a second one, and like, these don't make sense, like this isn't matching at all. Well, that's okay, guys. Let's just start it all over again. 8 times later, restarting it over and over and over, and it's like, guys, if you had... reboot. If you had just spent time to really like flesh out a story that you're like, this is gonna be that story that, like, you know, the fans like it, it's accurate, it's everything that we would have wanted it to be, then go with it. Now that's not to say don't joke around with the camera and just film things. No, film everything that you can and just have fun with it, because the more you get practice, the better. Because there's a difference between, say, like filming you know, a party with your friends and just having fun and then editing it together and just like for the experience. Then there's also like film a music video just for the heck of it, you know, with your friends, just kind of like, let's just lip sync in front of the camera and like have fun and then just put it together and just like see what we get, you know. That's also fun. And then you also have the, all right guys, things are about to get serious. Okay, you know, like, and then that's when you really want to sit down and make sure you got good stuff going. And if you know ahead of time, this is how I want it to start, this is how I want it to end. Let me fill in all this stuff in the middle, like let me write it all out, let me get it ready. All right, cool, we're good to go. Next things, once you have your story, you're set, you're happy with it, let all your friends read it, get their feedback. Be like, did you like it? Did you understand it? Do you have any ideas? Take it in and be like, okay, I understand your point. I think you're wrong, but I understand it. I might change it, you know? Get some feedback.
I'll consider it.
Yeah, like, I'll consider it. But I'll consider it, yeah. So once you're done, once you have your story, you're like, all right, I got this. Whether it's something as simple as, no joke, you know, just like, who here, I mean, everybody here has seen like YouTube videos of just people having fun, right?
Yeah.
And they turn out to be some really amazing, awesome videos. And it's just, you know, it doesn't have the best angles. Yeah, it doesn't have like the best of everything. The walls might be bare, you know, the lighting might be bad, but who cares? It was a fun video and you're like, I like that. In fact, I'm gonna watch it again. You know, like I'm gonna go to school tomorrow and I'm gonna be like, hey guys, there's this video I saw last night. You gotta watch it. And you're gonna show it to them, right? Yeah, right? Exactly. It's like, you know, those are the types of videos that, you know, you wish When was the last time that you really like went to see a movie that was produced like, you know, on the big screen, and you're like, yeah, that was so ridiculously amazing. I'm going to go to school tomorrow and force my friends to watch it. It doesn't happen very often, you know?
It never happens anymore now.
Exactly. I mean, you're like, you might walk out, you're like, yeah, that was okay. I mean, I can see where they were going with that. I mean, I guess if they want to make the Ninja Turtle like aliens, I mean, I guess.
I think they fixed that.
No, they did. But they got rid of Shredder, and he doesn't exist. And April O'Neil genetically modified them, and yeah, she's the scientist that created them. That's the current story.
No, you can't do that.
But isn't there gonna be a Shredder?
No, they got rid of him.
What?
He's now a
But I
robot
saw
samurai.
him in the trailers, like.
He's a robot samurai. Like, it's just a robot samurai.
It's Mecha Shredder.
Shredder, not a robot samurai. Or could they at least make Shredder?
It's okay. There will be a fan dub of
Or
Shredder.
could at least the actual, or could at least Shredder's like identity appear in the movie as a separate character who controls the Shredder robot?
Right, exactly. Like,
Maybe-
but that means
maybe-
Shredder
maybe-
controls the Shredder robot.
How do you know that won't be the case? Maybe they're hiding it. Like, for example, in the the Winter Soldier, they used the point of the Winter Soldier's appearance to hide the real father.
Oh yeah, the next one. So I mean, who knows? They might be doing that. You never know. But it's not.
Great movie.
Yeah. What?
That great movie that you go to my friends about. Dragon.
Okay, that was good news.
Oh,
That
I
was
do
an
have
amazing
to
movie.
admit that this is not a new movie, but I just was talking to my friends about it, and I'm forcing him to watch it now because nobody knows about it. But you know the movie Cats Don't Dance.
No,
Yes!
No, I don't.
Oh my god.
You're like, oh, high five him across the room.
Okay, I'm happy.
Well, I'm forcing my friends to watch that. It's a great movie. I love it.
Racism and discrimination and stuff has its message.
It's
Yeah.
amazing movie, but like,
My hand is tingling.
but no one heard. But no one heard.
Oh yeah, I remember that movie.
This is by far the most chill panel I've been to.
No, that's because we're all just here to actually have fun and.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you guys, but Sharknado. I mean,
They're coming out the second one.
I know. I saw that.
I was thinking about trying to get into that, but then like.
Yes.
I have not watched Sharknado all the way
I
through.
saw-
I saw
that's
a
why I
tidbit
learned
in
when I
the
saw
middle
it.
and then the ending, and I was like, this guy literally jumped into a great white shark.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my. You know what?
And cut him open.
That'll
from
be the
inside.
second movie. It'll be like
Like-
Sharknado versus like
Sure.
Mecha Shredder or something. Shredder comes up. I will destroy you.
Or maybe
You're not
my
the turtles.
or maybe it'll be that giant shark versus my handsome social studies teacher.
Oh, the
Or maybe
things.
Godzilla will show
And
up.
see-
Who knows what's happening?
See, that is actually, believe it or not, this is where a lot of the whole like fan film like drive came from. Where you're like, you know what?
We're just sitting around.
You know what? This could totally happen. Actually, did you know that Predators? That's how it came about. Did you guys
Was
know
it
that?
fan?
Wow.
No. Apparently, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was just kind of like chilling around with all of his like muscle buddies, and they're like, you know,
What
wouldn't it be funny if we did this? let's totally do this. And they did.
Let's
And
do it.
Let's do it. And it was one of the best movies ever.
Wait, that seems.
No, it was Predators.
Well, maybe it's both.
What?
Maybe they're like,
Because
okay,
like,
what
I
if
don't really
instead
think
of
Arnold
like,
Schwarzenegger was in any of the Predator.
No, he was in the very first Predator movie.
Yeah, the very first Predator.
what if they're like, what
It
if
was him
instead
and
of
no
robots,
joke,
it was-
all of his muscle, but all the like people that he worked out with at the gym, they're all the actors.
What?
That's why some of the people there, they're like such awful actors, and they're just kind of like walking. Like one of them will just stare off into the distance. And they're like, keep rolling, just going. Look.
What was he supposed to look at?
The only thing in that entire movie I didn't understand was the dude. He was standing on the log. You know, he's gonna slow down Predator and just cuts his chest and dies in 2 seconds. I was just confused. I was like, all that build up. Where's this fight? I want to see this fight.
Guys, it's just don't do things that are too inappropriate. There's only young kids.
I was just about to.
We can
I was
cover
about
his
to
ears.
say, isn't this a My Little Pony convention?
Oh yeah. Okay, let's stick to My Little Pony. All right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's stick to My Little Pony.
Wait,
We're
so
going off of
obviously
like
saved the world.
we're going off. Okay. So the reason why let's do this. Okay, so the main reason why like I started doing a lot of this stuff is I like My Little Pony, right? I want to film something with My Little Pony.
I did not.
Pretty sure that's.
I didn't know that.
I know, right? It's like almost as if I were to go to some type of convention about My Little Pony. All right, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to start filming a music video with My Little Pony characters, right? But so my thing, like my background is film. Like that's what I do. I will do like, you know, I've done like Left 4 Dead, I've done Resident Evil, I've done like some steampunk
So
stuff.
then you would kind of ask a person.
Cosplayers.
Yeah.
So since I cosplay, I dress up as like characters, you know, I cosplay as Celestia and Octavia and stuff like that. I was like, you know what? I would really, really, really like to do a music video to My Little Pony. I'm like, okay, cool. So how am I going to go about doing this, right? And I was like, well, okay, so I want to do a music video, right? Remember how I was telling you need to get your story done first, right? All right, cool. So if you're going to do a music video, it's not a script. You need to find a song, and you need to write down like the lyrics of the song, and with enough space between them to write down what's happening. Yeah, the actions, you know?
See, what I did with that is that I had a journal and I wrote some lyrics on one side and I just crunched it up so that all the lyrics would fit.
Yeah.
And I left the other side blank to like, and I numbered each line.
Yeah.
To get, okay, at line 1, you know, this happens.
Exactly. And believe it or not, that's exactly how that works. And once you write down your actions, and you have your actions and you kind of have the lyrics. Now, the cool thing about music videos is they're very, very easy to put together editing-wise because there's no like, this has to come first, then this in order for dialogue to make sense. When you're editing it, when you're putting it together, you can actually mix and match and be like, well, maybe this first, maybe that next, maybe this after that, you know, stuff like that. And so you can put these together because, you know, people have seen like music videos and sometimes it's like a little confusing because you're not quite sure what's going on. It's because they're mixing things up, but overall it tells a story, right? So the first thing that I needed to do was find the song. I'm like, okay, cool. So what song? What song? Does anybody know that song? I think it's called like Dark Horse by Katy Perry.
Yes.
Okay, so I was like, all right, let's use that because that sounds kind of cool. All right, so they're talking about like a dark horse. All right, cool. So let's have all the princesses, but let's have like Luna, but also like Nightmare Moon, and then let's have like maybe even Chrysalis in there, and let's have like Celestia, and let's have it be like a flash back and forward between Nightmare Moon and Celestia during the fight, and then like Luna and Celestia afterwards, and all the like maybe even the main 6 kind of thrown in there doing the battle and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, let's totally make this like epic, you know? All right, so I have my story, I have my like lyrics, which are the script. I put the actions together. I wrote down how all is going to go together. Next, I need to find. A lot of people immediately jump to actors. Let me find my actors. Believe it or not, that's one of the last things you really want to do. You can start looking for them because that's actually one of the hardest things to find is reliable people to come help you with it. So you can start looking for that. But you really want to start looking for your equipment that you're going to use and the locations where you're going to use. Because once you find those, like, you can now start figuring out, well, if I'm going to film at this place, who's nearby that is willing to come film, right? If you're going to film, say, something like at your house, then obviously you're going to use a lot of people that are nearby you. If, like, let's say I'm here in Houston, right? Well, let's say I'm going to go over to Enchanted Rock near, what is it, Austin? I think it's Austin. Somewhere, or San Antonio, somewhere over there, right? I'm going to film in a different city. Well, I'm not going to get all of my actors from Houston if I'm going to go film, say, in San Antonio, right? I want to get people in San Antonio to come because they're already nearby. All right, so that's kind of how that works. Most people aren't going to be filming in different cities. You're usually going to film in your own area, right? So okay, so like let's say I live in Houston, I'm going to film in Houston, all right? Let's say I'm going to film My Little Pony, the same video that I'm trying to do, and I want to find some place that looks very enchanted, you know? Well, what parks are in Houston that I can film at? Because there are some parks where I can't film. They don't let you film. There are other parks that make you pay if you want to film there. There are other parks where you have to get permits from the city if you want to film there. There are other parks that don't care, right? So usually those are the ones you want to go with. So you want to find locations, places where you can actually do your filming. And who knows, I can even set up some lighting in the middle of the night and film in my own backyard. You know, why not? You know, let's try and do that. And let's go off the assumption that you have no money to spend on this. Okay, because
Most amateur filmmakers.
yeah, most amateur filmmakers, they have like, I think I have a penny, a dime, and some bubble gum. You know, like, I will pay you in bubble gum. Exactly, right? Like, well, oh wait, there's a paperclip.
As long as it's juicy, it's okay.
you guys, I'll have donuts on set. That's good, right?
That'll make people come.
Right? Donuts, you gotta have them. So let's say that, does anybody know what Memorial Park is?
I'm not from here, so
Oh, okay.
I'm from Dallas. So
Oh, well, never mind. Alright, so basically, let's say that, okay, so this is park. It's open 24 hours a day. There's like very little security, so no one really bothers you. It's free to film there. It's not fenced off or anything, and the parking lots are like you park and bam, forest. You know, so as far as I'm concerned, this is a great place to film. I can film there during the day, I can film there at night, I can film there wherever. Now so I got my location, right? I'm gonna film there at this park. Now my second problem is equipment. All right, something like a camera. We're lucky because we have what's known as batteries, right? So we can charge up our batteries and we can go film. And it doesn't matter whether it's a camera like this, an SLR, or if it's a JVC, or I swear to you, you can even film it with like an iPhone or one of the new phones that has a good, camera, video recording camera.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's actually an entire huge community of people that film with nothing but camera phones now. And it's actually gotten really big. Not so much like feature length type things, but more like really short things, as short as like Vines, for example, which is like 6 seconds or whatever, all the way up to a couple of minutes, which are usually put on YouTube, up to like less than 30 minutes to an hour, whatever, which are usually put on Vimeo. And then you can even do higher than that, but usually when you go higher than 30 minutes, you're using a little bit bigger something than a phone. But so yeah, don't feel like, oh, I don't have a camera, I can't do that. Do you have a phone? Is your phone cool? You can film a video, and if you're like, well, no, my phone is kind of crappy, it won't like film very well, borrow someone else's phone or borrow a camera. Just find a friend and say, hey, which one of you has a camera? Borrow a camera, exactly.
Yeah, the same way the doctor borrowed his TARDIS.
Exactly, and borrowed his companions. What you can also do, especially if you're in college or about to start into college, a lot of them have video programs. Even the community colleges have video programs, and they'll let you check out cameras. So you can borrow those with equipment to go with them, or you can take the class. Usually they require you to take the class so you know how to use the equipment. But if you can kind of like show them that you already know what you're doing, they'll let you go. But I highly recommend
Or
taking.
if you promise you will do it.
Yeah, I highly recommend that you at least take a basic class. Or what you can do is you can find a friend that's in the video department that's already taken the class or whatever. Make friends with them and be like, hey bro, I got this really awesome idea. Let's go film this, and then they'll check it out for you. A lot of people do that too. Because, hey, why not? Free equipment. All right, so now let's say, okay, now the problem is this. If we're out in the middle of the woods, because this is something that a lot of people don't think about. You have your camera. Just because you have your camera, you're missing 3 very important things that are required for equipment. You have your camera.
What about mine?
You need your audio, exactly. And then can anybody guess what the third is?
Actors.
Oh, that's like, we're talking about equipment. Lighting, there we go. Yeah, because the actors, they come at the very end. They're also like a huge important department. Okay, so we have our camera, which is the visual stuff. Then we need the audio stuff, and we need the lighting, which is also visual. I mean, like if you don't have
kind of film something in the dark.
Yeah, exactly. So if we're gonna film during the daytime, not that big of a problem. But let's say that we're gonna film something inside of this room. Okay?
And the lights are off.
Well, we can have these lights on, right? What a lot of people don't realize is that most cameras can't handle low lighting. If you guys want to pull out your phones and you can actually like move it around, look at people's faces and look at how pretty it makes people look. Doesn't. Like the technology keeps getting better and better, but it's not really quite there. You don't get you don't get Hollywood type, faces. You usually have really bad shadows under the eyes. Your nose looks like this, really lit up, flaming, thing. It's just too bright. It's not the world's best look, right? So you usually want to use lights. Now, I brought my old light kit, the one that we used to use back when we first started, because you know what? It's really good and it works. It's not the best on the world, but you know what? With like 20 bucks, you can film what you need to film. So I'll show you what it is. first things first, you need your lights. Done. Yay. Next thing, your light bulbs.
Ooh, there's
Done.
fancy ones too.
I know, right? Now here's you want to use white light. You know, like these right here, these are called, they're yellow, right? You don't want yellow, you want white. So if I were to plug these in, and I turn it on, and I can actually turn it on right now, so you can see the difference, so that when you go to the store, you know what I'm talking about, white. And always your extension, because...
You kind of need the extension cords though.
Yeah.
Wait, there's also one other important thing you forgot.
Yes, go ahead.
Power.
Ah, right, I'm about to go through that. Okay, so I got this plugged in, right? Oh crap, if I'm in this room, I can plug it in, but if I'm in the woods, that's why I was using the woods as an example, because it's like, oh crap, what are we gonna do? So let me go plug this. Exactly, and there are ways around that right now. I'll just plug it in over here.
Alright, everyone. Let's turn it over there.
Alright, so, there we go. Okay, so do you see what I mean by white light?
Yeah.
A lot better.
Yeah. This right here, like if I, close your eyes. Like see if I light it here now, his face no longer looks
Like demonic in nature?
yeah, like you can actually see his face now. And then see like back to shadows, right?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you have basic lights. This is as basic as you can get, right? You get these, you can clamp them anywhere. You're like, oh, I need a light shoe. I'll just stick this right here and like kind of adjust it to how I need it to go, and bam, we're good, right? You can also get like light stands, clamp them on there, and you're like, oh, but light stands are expensive. Yes, and by light stand I meant chair.
Chair, branch, tree.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, yeah. So in the woods, yes, go ahead.
Just hold it up to your
One
arm.
thing I always see them using on Hollywood sets is like big reflective mirrors.
Yes.
Sheets of light.
Those are awesome. Okay. White light bounces off of
White objects.
white objects. So what they usually use is they have these big reflective like panels that they can bounce light off of, right? It won't work as well, but you could also go to any art shop like Joann's, Hobby Lobby, whatever, and you can buy big foam boards, like the big foam core boards. They work. Like just whoop, there you go. But if you really need to travel around like light, like it's only one tiny little kit and you're done, you can carry around paper, and you can also like bounce it with that, right? You just got to make sure that it's not see-through. But if you do get see-through paper, here's what happens. When you turn your light on, you can actually take the see-through paper. This is rice paper. You can cover it, because see how strong that is? It's really harsh. It'll give you like really bad shadows. You can cover it with that, and then you can use, no joke, these little guys, and clip them on. And now like that, you've suddenly diffused your light. And what this will do is it will give you these really nice, not harsh shadows or just like, oh my God, light everywhere. It just tones things down. And you can double up the rice paper as much as you want to kind of like tone down the colors or the light. You can also use gels for colored lights. For example, here's a red light. Oh, I want to make things look like, you know, kind of dark and evil. So I will take this and I'll usually splash it against the wall and then have the character standing over here. So the character's not red, but everything behind it is like, ooh, you know, like ominous. You can also have like blues and greens and yellows, and that way you can control what it looks like, right? So playing around with lights is so much fun. But all right, so now we're
How much
still,
is all that stuff in total?
I'm sorry?
How much is all that stuff in total?
These right here are about,
$20 maybe.
yeah, it's like 20 bucks. It's not that much. It's actually surprisingly, and a lot of people actually already have these like in the garage or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so you can start off really simple, and that way you can start filming in dark rooms.
What's in here?
All right, so now the next problem is you're in the middle of the woods, right? You're like, okay, so what do you do now, right?
Beep beep, I have a delivery.
Ooh, a delivery.
Oh, I love deliveries.
You like deliveries?
Are you jerking
Wait,
the
do I get a delivery?
No, it's just her.
Oh.
I deliver you Yowie.
Oh yeah.
What's that?
Oh, you don't, yeah.
Mind the stains.
What's that?
Okay, yeah, you really don't want to know, dude. Just
Okay.
You don't want to know.
Okay.
It's still too far as the internet for you today.
Google it when nobody
No.
Damn it, I'm being filmed.
You see, it's all these directions, it's bad, it's bad.
Okay,
Do it in
so
the dark room.
now the problem is we're in the middle of the woods, right? What do we do, right? Okay, we can use a generator, but what's the problem with the generator?
You have a noise.
They're really, really loud, and you don't want. Yeah.
In the middle of a romance scene, whatever's going on.
I love you too.
Unless there's like supposed to be close to a car.
Exactly. It's like,
Let's
yeah.
have a reason for the sound.
Unless they're in the car.
Are they surrounded in like a racetrack or something? Like what's going? It literally sounds like the microphone's right up against the muffler. Like it's just, it's not pretty.
Dig a hole 5 feet down for us and then put this cover on top of it.
And see, you can do stuff like that. You can run, that's why we have massive extension cords. You can run them all the way to a distance, put a cover on it, try and like minimize it, muffle the noise as much as you can. It doesn't always work out because sometimes you're in areas where other people are like, that's too loud. Because let's face it, generators not
Aren't very quiet.
Not to mention you have to use gas, you have to lug around gasoline and like it's just it's a mess. And the most important part, they're not cheap.
No.
Very expensive. So when we started off, we were like, well, we can't use a generator. Like that's just off the list. So we don't have like $50,000 to throw down on a generator, and then with the gas to go with it, and all the
Do you just use car batteries?
Well, we thought, well, why not just use something like a car battery? And we're like, exactly. You know, see, this is exactly what happens when you start trying to plan these things out. Right, and people think similarly, right? So we were like, all right, so there's got to be some type of like car battery thing that we can hook up and we can just draw power from it. Well, didn't you know they make those?
Oh, wow.
I know, right? And like even Walmart sells them, you know. They're not really, like they're not cheap, but you can get They're cheaper than a generator. So we all pitched in a little bit and we bought a portable battery. The kind that's meant to like jumpstart cars, but it has a plug that we can plug in like our lights to. And it was $100. But it's not so bad.
It is not that bad.
You know, everybody, you know, pitches in like, you know, 10, 20 bucks from like each person that wants to be a part of this movie. And you can save up for it, right? I mean, it's almost the same cost as like a video game nowadays, you know? It's not that bad. So we're like, okay, cool. So we bought a portable battery, silent, completely silent. We can plug it in, we can go to the middle of the woods, and we can now set up our lights. All right, so we're like, cool. We have our lights, we set up our stuff. Now what we found out when we bought ours, that was our mistake, is every single one of those portable batteries has a different range, okay? And so like the more expensive they get, the more lights you can plug in. We found out that the one that we bought, we can plug in like an endless number of these guys, which is great, you know, like we were just plugging them in left and right. But the moment we plugged in one of like these floodlights,
All
the power. And we're like, well, darkness. Does anybody have the app for the flashlight?
Wait, we're doing it. You have a flashlight.
Right. Like nobody had a flashlight, and we're like, we didn't think this through, did we? Granted, you know, we reset the thing and we turned it back on, and cool. So we filmed with these, and we can film with one colored light, which is fine.
No.
So you don't need like 12.
Exactly, you don't need 12. You mostly need to set these guys up. So we set up our area. So it didn't matter if it was night or if it was day. We had our lights. We were portable. We could move around. We were like, all right, cool. So we've got our lights. We've got our camera. And mind you, between each of these stages, we're filming because we're just filming, practicing. And every time, yeah, that way we can see like what doesn't look good. What else do we need to fix? And we found out, all right, cool. So our image looks good now. Our lighting looks good now. But what else is wrong? What's missing? Sound. We all sounded awful. Some people far away, we couldn't hear them. Some people up close, we couldn't hear them. Like we were just having trouble with sound. It's like, what do we do, you know?
Did you splice it by any chance?
Splice it?
Yeah, splice audio into the visual afterwards with the editing.
Oh, yes, we tried that.
I've done that before.
Yeah, where we like tried to dub over the voices and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay, so.
That's a pain though.
Oh yeah. Like I don't know if you've ever done it, but.
No,
Just imagine
Just
trying to do
painstaking
that
of the
with
whole
this
thing, you know. It's like,
We were
You're
so
such
close to just giving up and going back out and reshooting the whole thing. That's how terrible it was. Like we did it once and never again. Because see, the problem is a lot of people are like, yeah, but like they do it all the time in Hollywood. Yes,
But they have people that do that for a living.
Exactly, and not just that, but they have trained actors that, you know, can get it after a couple of tries. We don't.
Hearing people.
Exactly, we're like, you know, our buddy from down the street, he's in this movie, you know, or our friend from school, they're in this movie, you know, like these are not trained professionals, so we have to go with what we have. And when you try to get somebody to lip sync their own self, like, here's the monitor, watch yourself talk into this microphone and try to like match your, no, it just doesn't work.
Because there's a little bit of latency there, so it's...
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. So we quickly learned that dubbing was, or splicing was just not a thing to do.
See, what I ended up doing was I actually got the voice done first, so that people could listen to the voice and, you know, lip their voices while I was recording.
Yeah, and see that will work a little bit better because you can
It's still a pain.
and just like hear and talk, but trying to, yeah, exactly. Just listen. So there's ways around that, but we were like, but all of those are time consuming. It took forever, right? So we're like, what is the quickest way that we can do this? Because we don't want to, you know, no offense. This is Houston. Have you guys been outside? We don't want to be out there more than what we have to be. Yeah. So I actually did a shoot last night with Raiden. That's why I was carrying that around. Cause, and we were outside. Raiden Sword from Metal Gear Rising.
I don't play it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a sword. So we were out there doing a shoot, and literally we were maybe 20 minutes in, and he's like I have to go back inside, and I'm like, oh, we're almost done, and he's like, no, you don't understand. I'm about to throw up.
Oh.
Like it was just that bad, cause it's a full outfit, and
those things don't breathe that.
they don't breathe. There was just plastic everywhere. It was just like, actually, I think I might have.
I saw him yesterday, actually.
Just, yeah, wandering around for no reason.
Yeah.
You're not a pony.
Well, I saw Mario and Luigi too, so...
Yeah.
I've seen Christmas Day or Santa Dash, I don't know what
Yes.
I saw Darth Vegeta.
Darth Vegeta.
That's-
I'm lost.
Oh,
yeah.
that was
Have you seen my rock?
No.
You know what's funny? Okay, yesterday I was my last panel for the night was with him, where he was talking about his YouTube channel, and one person they raised their hand for a question. They're like, "Are you lost?"
There you go.
Who was it?
It was
That
the
one.
person who had to
Saber?
Yep, that was him.
oh god, that was the guy whose line was, "I'm lost." Like
And
it
have
was.
you
So-
seen my rock?
He was just
Yeah.
dying.
Was it RC
I
Race?
don't believe why.
I think it was...
Yeah, it's all right.
There you go.
That's
And then
that's not even funny. That's like
Yeah, that's not gonna breathe at all.
and what's that? You have it's black. So all the
And we thought, well, let's do it at night because you know it's less
Okay.
It's,
All right,
it's
bye.
less hot. It's still hot.
Oh yeah, it was. He lasted 20 minutes and then literally came in, managed to get up to his room, threw up, took off his outfit. It was bad. It was bad. Okay, so all right, so audio. We were like, all right, well, what are we gonna do about audio? And we're like, well, what do you use to record? Microphones. Okay, cool, microphones. What kind of microphone do we use? Because there are like a billion of them. So we're like, oh man, okay. What do we use? Well, by that time we had gotten this camera, right? And we're like, let's try and get a microphone that will work as well as possible with this camera. Or like a camera like the JVC, or the handheld recorder like that one.
With
So
like
we're
a
like, well, there's
directional
lots of
mic.
ways to go around it. I'm sorry?
with a directional mic.
Exactly. So you have a directional mic where like I pointed in a direction and you could hear the noise over there, but not so much over here. You've got the kind that will record everything everywhere. So it's like, you know, just doesn't matter if somebody speak in the room and we'll record it. Then you've also got, you know, the direction like the shotgun mics where you like stick it on a pole and like hold that. I mean, we've gone through so many mics, and the thing is every single mic has a different purpose. So if you're gonna start getting mics, you want to find out what type of filming you're going to do, what kind of microphone that's going to require. Which is, remember when I told you earlier, the most important thing is to kind of get the story down and the location found. If you're in a room like this and you're gonna have a lot of people, then obviously you're gonna wanna get a mic that will either be pointed at me, but not get all the noise out there. So it's like a directional type thing, right? But if there's like, I want to get all the like ambient noise and you want to get one that covers the whole room, Or like, here's another problem. What if the room echoes, right?
You're gonna need something danky.
Something that will only record like this tiny area, maybe like a little clip-on lavalier, right? With a cable that goes down behind me and is feeding the sound into, say, like a device or whatever that I can later attach to the video. So there's lots of different mics that you can use for different situations. Most people don't really have the money to throw at a bunch of mics, right? It's like, bah. Oh no, there's a problem. That's okay, just throw money at it. Like, yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah. No one cares.
Exactly.
Money on the screen and then running out somewhere.
Yeah, it's like, so the great thing about being a part of, say, like a community college or whatever, where you have access to some of their stuff, is they have a variety of mics that you can test out. You can also rent mics. There's lots of rental places like Google, the name of your city, you know, sound or rental shop or whatever. You can also go to any place like, no joke, like Guitar Center or a music shop or whatever and just talk to them. This is my situation. What do you recommend I use? Then they'll give you an option. You kind of write down that information. Don't buy anything there because it's really expensive. And then maybe go shop around online because, you know, we have a budget of nothing. So there's ways around that. What we ended up getting were 3 mics total. We got some like $10 lavaliers that we just clipped on for like whenever we needed to have, you know, our voices whenever we're in rooms like this because they echo and we can't, our ears, now this is what's great about humans. Humans adapt. Humans are able to like tune out sound. They're able to, like, lots of people can be talking, but I can focus my hearing to only that person to try and hear what they're saying. You know, we can also dampen out echoes. Right now, this room is echoing like crazy, but we're not really noticing it until we try to notice.
Echo.
Echo. Yeah, now we notice because we're like, oh wait, let's try and notice that. But normally you're just like, ah, whatever, right? And that's because the human adaptability just gets over all that stuff. Unfortunately, machines are not to that point. Machines won't do that. So we have to get microphones that deal with it, right? So we got our little lavaliers for whenever we're in rooms like this. Then we got our shotgun mic for whenever we need to like actually just get one person. They're you know, directional. And then we got a overall. Now we didn't just go out and be like, well, bam, money. No, it took us like 1.5 to 2 years to slowly like get this, okay? Accumulate the ability to be able to get these. And we started off with, like I said, $10 little lavaliers, and then we slowly upgraded and upgraded and upgraded, you know? And every time that you upgrade, what you do is you sell your old stuff to put towards new stuff. So this is something that isn't gonna happen overnight. Don't be afraid. You're like, oh, well, that's gonna suck. We recorded like, God, I think we ended up recording like almost eight or 9 videos without even a microphone. And they all sound terrible. But that's because we just couldn't afford it, you know? And so little by little we built up. And then when we finally got one microphone, we're like, awesome, cool. And so certain sounds would be great. But then there are some sounds where you're like, damn it, we can hear a lawnmower in the background, you know? No joke. There's actually a video where it's a zombie apocalypse video, it's the Left 4 Dead, and they're like breaking into this like apartment place or whatever to try to look for food, and learn in the background.
Well, I guess it's obvious.
It kind of suits you. Yeah, like make it sound like a chainsaw.
Yeah, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, what are you gonna do?
But they won't notice it.
They won't notice it, hopefully. Just turn up the volume. Put more sound, more background sound, you know? So it's just one of those things you have to deal with, right? And little by little, you'll get there. The cheapest thing to start off with is your lighting. There's really no reason to not have some basic good lighting, okay? My suggestion, if you're not familiar with lighting, there's something called 3-point lighting. You can go to Google, look up 3-point lighting. But 3-point lighting is the most basic, simple style of lighting that gets you good results.
Forward, side.
It's a key light, which is the main light, right? And that's usually to a side. Like, let's say I'm the person to the side. And then you have your fill light, which is usually like covered in, you know, more and more rice paper. And that's just kind of like to fill in the shadows so you don't get like horrible shadows on one side. So you have your key, your fill light, and then you have a backlight. And the backlight, a lot of people forget the backlight, but the backlight is very important. What it does is, for example, let's say I'm wearing a black shirt and I'm against this black background, right? What's gonna happen is I'm going to fade into this, right? You won't be able to tell that I'm wearing a black shirt. So what ends up happening is if you put a backlight, this whole shirt ends up being outlined and it stands out. It looks 3D. So they took this concept and they rolled with it, and you can put it usually something that's called a hair light. What they'll do is they'll put a light up here, kind of like going over your hair and your shoulders and your back. And from now on, if you watch a movie, any movie or whatever, just look for the backlight. It's like that beautiful shine on the hair and on the shoulders that just kind of makes it 3D and pop. That's called the backlight or the hair light. And what it does is it makes it look good. You can tell the difference between like professional style lighting and just derping around when you add the backlight. So it's really simple. How simple? Pop, light, done. Like there's it's like, oh, that was easy, you know.
You say it's simple, but it's actually a lot harder.
Exactly. See how it's like, it's simple, but it's a lot harder than what I'm saying it is. But it's a lot easier than what you think it is, because you can literally just get like, for example, these stands right here. Obviously they're for these big mics, but they have similar ones that you can use for lighting, and they'll have an arm that attaches at the very top. You can just attach it to that, but that's already getting into some crazy pro stuff. What we do, we just like duct tape these things up to like part of the, like, obviously these ceilings are high, but like in a house it wouldn't be that big a deal. You know, just tape it up there, or clamp it onto like, you know, a flower pot that's just kind of hanging there. Like, oh, the flower pot's falling, it's okay. Quickly, get the shot, you know. Or if you're out in the woods, what we do is we just clamp them onto all the branches. Done. So,
all that has to be a little bit pain, like it's not some get in the tree and clamp it. Alright, what do you do over here?
Yeah, but bring the bucket. Oh. Always travel around with a bucket. You never know. Bucket can save you sometimes. Like it can carry water, it can carry equipment, it can be used as a step stool. Buckets are amazing. That and a towel. But there's a whole book written about why you need to carry around a towel. So I won't get into that.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah.
Does anybody know, what was it, the Douglas book? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, yes.
42.
Yes.
Oh, towel. There's a tower.
Oh, no, towel. Yes,
Yeah,
carry around a tower.
Carry towel.
Yeah, no. But yeah, so towels and buckets, always useful. And crates, but the problem with this crate is because I step on it, I'll like destroy it.
You can combine to make a flail.
That's true.
You tie the towel to the bucket's handle, swing it.
Oh my god! Towel bucket flail.
Bucket flail.
Oh my god. Imagine if you like put, I don't know, bees in there. Like, oh god!
As long as you keep spinning, the bees can't get out.
Yeah! Except for when you want to.
And they can do
You know what
something
was
very
so
smart
funny actually
and
about
run away
that?
because
But
these
there's
are
this kid where you have bees that are bugging you just to get a soda can and leave like barely a little bit in there. Bees are smart enough to get in, but they're not smart enough to get out.
Oh, that's so awful.
Especially when you go to take a drink, it's even worse.
Well, they bite them just a little bit.
Oh yeah, they totally will. They can't get out.
Oh yeah. Time check.
If your can is
1:21.
buzzing,
Okay, so this is, okay, 10 minutes. All right, so let's wrap it up. Okay, so we've covered like, you know, very minimal basic lighting, 3 points, and you can look this up on Google. Just type in 3-point lighting. There's entire like websites and pages and all sorts of crazy like books dedicated to this style of lighting. It is a great style of lighting. Very basic, very simple, but you can get it. It's really powerful. Audio. So slowly, I mean, any mic is better than no mic. The worst mic that you would ever want to use is the one that's already integrated into your device. But use it. Use it until you can get something better if you ever feel like getting something better. If you're using a music video, no big deal because you're just putting a track over it, so who cares? And music videos are a great way on how to start learning how to film because it's very forgiving on the things that may or may not go right. So I highly recommend like starting off with music videos. Also, you can, you know, I mean, it gives you motivation too because this isn't something that you're going to do overnight, hopefully. It's something that'll take you like a little bit of time to really like get together, to plan, yeah, to write it out, to get the story, to get the location, to get your equipment, and then actors. Okay, so the last thing is the actors. The number one thing that you have to understand is the people that are going to be in this video when you first start off, they're all going to be your friends. And everything that can go wrong will go wrong because they are all your friends.
Ugh.
Yeah. I'm not saying anything bad about your friends. I'm just saying that no one
it's
is.
just Murphy's Law.
There's gonna be a lot of goofing off, and there's gonna be a lot of fun. And hey, that's awesome. Do it. Have fun. Until it gets to a point where you're like, okay, seriously, guys, we're not actually getting anything done. Yeah, we kind of need to actually like
do something.
Yeah, pay attention. And so little by little, what you're gonna see is that you're gonna find some friends who are really, really into it. Stick with them. And then there are some other friends who are like not really so much into it. And little by little, they're gonna be like, all right, well now that we're getting more serious into it, it's not as fun anymore. So I'm gonna chill, peace, like.
Yeah, I'll be the camera guy.
I'll be the background.
Right. So little by little, your cast and your crew are going to change from when you start to when you it's constantly going to be changing. Yes.
Okay, so if they are your friends, how do you deal with the having to tell someone who's not quite good? Like
not quite
quite good.
Not quite good.
So
okay.
Okay, you started I started a Let's Play series, and I started doing like some I have friends who I'll join in, like let's see if there's some chemistry, if we can get something funny going on, and it's like, oh yeah, that works with the one guy. And then one of your other friends will show up and he's like the really introverted, quiet guy. He's like, I wanted to do a video. And you're like, you don't have energy. You're not funny.
It's kind of like
how do I tell you?
How do you suggest your friends if they had a problem? It's kind of like you treat them like a friend. Like, I'm not being rude, but maybe here's a suggestion to help you. If you're nervous, here's what you can do to help you with your fears. And if you just think that you're being too loud, don't worry about it. I can just turn it down. Just.
I get that, but I mean more like just when you get to that point where it's like
it's not working.
Realization, like you say you're doing a comedy bit, and you realize one of the friends you want to help you with, one of your actors, isn't funny. Like he just, no matter how many directions you give him, the guy can't emote properly. He can't come off as entertaining.
From experience, I can tell you that there's a couple of options that you have. The first one that should just be your option is number one. Before you give a role to anyone, and this is just overarching, this is the number one thing that we have found out over the years that we've been doing this. The number one thing is never give anybody a role. Force them to audition. Even if in your head you're like, oh yeah, that guy is totally going to be this character, like I want him to do this character, he wants to do this character, everybody wants him to do this character, that guy's going to be this character. But when you're talking, you'll be like, well, I don't know, I'm going to need you to audition. And the reason why is because this gives you the option of saying, I'm sorry, we're gonna go with somebody else. You never originally promised them that role, only to find out later, oh crap, you suck. Another thing is that, because this has happened to us a lot, we'll find some people just don't work. It's like, this isn't working for you. But in another role, they are phenomenal. I'll give you an example. We were doing Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Our actor that was Wesker was not that good. Out of the whole team, it was one of the weakest characters. We just couldn't, because I don't know if anybody knows who Wesker is, but that's a very, very particular type of role, and it just wasn't
you're either Wesker or you're not.
Or you're not. There's just no way around it. Great look, had everything spot on except for the acting skills for it. And we were like, we just struggled, but whatever. But this was one of our first projects, and we didn't quite know So then later on, we did a Left 4 Dead thing, and he was our Ellis. And we were all really worried about it, oh man, is this gonna work, or whatever. But here and there, he'd joke around as being Ellis and acted the role, and we're like, damn, this guy's good. And so we're like, all right, well, let's see how he does on camera. But we were really scared, is it gonna come off or not? He was the best actor that we had during that entire thing. I mean, everything was just like, oh my God, you're Alice, it's so amazing. So we went from being the absolute worst on one thing to the absolute best on another. So the problem might be that you need to find the role that this character fits. First off, start off by never promising anybody any one role until they audition. And make a couple of other people audition for it also. You don't want to just audition one person, awesome, you got the role, and then, another person was like, well, I wanted to audition for it, I wanted to do it, Do a couple of people, that way if one person's just really terrible at it, but they really, really wanted it, you have the option of saying, there were people that we saw that were better for the role and for the film.
It's not you.
It's not you, it's just
better.
Yeah, exactly. So you're no longer putting them down, you're just raising somebody else up higher. You see what I mean? You're not, So those are the two ones that I recommend the highest is look. So if they're very introverted, very, you know, like, oh, you know, I'm not quite sure, you know, well, like, look at My Little Pony. There's a spot for everyone. You know, you've got Fluttershy. You are Fluttershy. Awesome, let's go with it, you know? And then with other characters, it's like, not. So, yeah. So I hope that helped a
Pretty
little.
much, just a question, you know, how you put someone down on a role while still keeping them as a friend.
Now, let's say you've already given them that role. What you can do at that point is just, I mean, you just got to break down and do it. Have a one-on-one and be like, hey,
need to be better.
So one thing that some people do.
Like, you don't have the right type of energy.
Yeah, you just don't.
Like, you're more of a serious person, while working for more of a goofy, lighthearted.
Yeah, and it's like, and we don't feel that you can pull that off. But because you have to always have that but, if there's a role that comes up with your particular type of acting, we're calling you first. Something like that, because you don't want to leave people on a negative, because it's just, it can really crush some people.
And they may not come back and you may need them. Like, oh, this person would be good for this. And
well, not even that. If they're your friends, you know, you really don't want to. Because I've lost so many friends doing this because I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you right now, you don't want to like put. Because I was like, oh, friend, and then all of a sudden, okay, guys, we're filming. It's time to get like serious, you know. And I would just be like right up to people, and I'd be like, yeah, this is wrong. Do it like this, and they're like, ah. So. So yeah, just be careful with that. Is there any other last questions? If not, I think, because I don't want to like. Okay, we got a little bit of time before the next panel. Yeah, any last questions like that we want to go over or talk about? Because actors are going to be your hardest thing to get, even harder thing to maintain. You might get an actor for one shot, but for like to finish up that same scene like a week later, they're like, yeah, I moved out of town.
How do you find actors?
How do you find actors? No joke, start off with your friends. They're the worst place to start off with, and they're the best place to start off with. Most actors are found through word of mouth. It's the friend of a friend that found out that you're doing this, join them, and little by little, people are going to come to you. You want to start releasing things. Even if they're not the best. Even if you are not personally satisfied with them. You release them, people will contact you. Hey, I'm in the same city as you. I saw that you did this. I saw that you posted that you're looking to do this other video. I want to join in, you know? No joke. It's just word of mouth, and it's slowly going to come to you. It's not going to be an overnight thing. But that's great, because neither is editing, so you need the time. But it will come to you. Little by little, you will start to build your pool. I mean, we've been doing this for years, and we still have trouble finding actors. Because you are asking people to take time off from work, maybe. You're asking people to give up their, I don't know, Saturday nights or whatever, to possibly like not go, you know, socialize with life, and to do it all for free, and to stand possibly in the middle of the woods, in the middle of the night, like just dying and possibly throwing up like last night. So I mean, it's not, you know, the average person would be insane to agree to this, so you have to find the slightly insane people.
Insane people is the most fun.
Yeah, I mean, have you guys noticed that most hobbies require a very specific kind of person who's not like quite like
right
logically speaking, this is a terrible idea, but God, it's so much fun, but only to you because it's a terrible idea.
Wait, so it's kind of like bungee jumping or skydiving, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like, you know,
platform jumping.
Yeah, stuff like that. Where you're like,
this is logically speaking, this is an awful idea. You want to go do it this Saturday? Aw, yeah. But all right. So any last questions? If not, we'll go into the next panel. Anybody here for the next panel? The one about wigs and such? Okay, cool. We're about to start that. All right. Any last questions? We're good. All right, cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the wig panel. This is gonna show you how to do like wig wefting, how to make your tails, how to do like your just anything related to hair stuff. So let me put this stuff away real quick.
What is that giant hammer?
There's a lot of crazy hairdos. There's a lot of like things you have to put into the wigs, like ears or horns. There's also tails that you can attach, and there's lots of different ways on how you can change those, add those, modify those. And you know, they don't really sell these very easily at stores. You usually have to order them online, and even when you get them in, they're not exactly how you want them. You know, like you can't just go down to the corner shop and buy Celestia's wig. Like that's just not gonna happen, right? It's like multicolored and long and kind of wavy in certain areas, and it's just not gonna happen. So you're like, all right, how do I go about either making these or modifying them? Or what about tails? You know, where can I go either buy, or in this particular panel, we're gonna learn how to make them yourself, right? So the first things that we're gonna talk about is where you can get some of the supplies to make them. So has anybody seen those like beauty shops? They're all over everywhere. They're literally just called like hair and beauty or beauty supply or something like that. They're the more like ethnic beauty supply type places. I'm not talking about Sally's because they don't sell what you need there. They'll usually sell wefting, like just or loose hair, right? And so you can buy this loose hair and you can use this to start modifying your wigs or your tails. And you're like, okay, so you just go into one of these beauty shops and they're located everywhere, like no joke, literally everywhere. And these should cost you anywhere from about $1 to maybe like $4 or $5. They're really, really cheap, okay? Like these were $1. And so once we have these, and they come in all the colors, you know, like strange colors. You can even get them in white. So very, very simple. Once you have those, you can, here I'm going to open up my blue one because I already opened this one up, and I can give you an example of what to do with it. Alright, so once you open it up and pull it out, this is what you're going to get. It's just loose hair, and it's tied up at the top with a like band, a little rubber band, and I literally just start cutting from it to take this blue and start using it. So I'm going to pass this around so you can actually see it. Yes? One. This is the wig wefting one, right? Okay, okay, cool. I'm not like, oh god, am I just like starting? Okay. Alright, so this will give you an example of like one that I've just started to use. I'm just going to pass this around and this is what you get. This right here cost me, I think it was maybe like $2, $3. Like it was not a lot. So you can actually see how it's just loose hair. And then you're like, all right, so what do you do once you have the loose hair? I'm going to show you how to like modify the wigs first. Okay, so this wig right here, I got off of eBay for about $15. Okay, eBay, by the way, is where I get most, if not all, of my wigs is off eBay. There's lots of places where you can get them in like stores, like also the ethnic beauty supply places. They will have wigs, but usually not the crazy colored wigs that you want to modify, right? Can anybody guess what this wig was used for? It's a My Little Pony character. Vinyl scratch, yeah. So, yeah. Originally, this was a one color blue wig, period. That's it. And it's like, well, I need to add in the like light blue highlights, right? And so we were trying to do a vinyl scratch outfit that looked more real. Like it didn't look like super crazy fake where it's like one color, one color, one color. We kind of wanted to mix it in, right? So we wanted to get lots and lots of different colors in there. And there's blues, dark blues, blacks, and then the light blues in here. So we're like, well, how do we add those in, right? Like, how do you go around changing this? You can see some of those there. So we got the blue. Okay, has everybody seen it? Everybody good? Okay, cool. So there's blue. So wait, how does this go into this, right? How do you modify? Carefully. Like, they're done.
Perfect. Nailed it.
Found it. Okay, glue, right? I bet it's glue. So what we did is we took pieces of that and we're like, all right, we need to put them in here. I'm going to pass this around in a second so you can actually see how this was put in here. And all you do with this wig is you open it up to where like these blues are. And you can see this pink. There's like bits that are pink, and then I think there are also some bits that are black because we use different color ribbons to jam them in there. So, all right, so what are these things right here? I'll pass it around in a second. They are this. We got that blue and we turned them into this. These are called wefts. And you're like, all right, so how do you get these? How do you make these? And I'm going to show you how to do this in a second. So these wefts, all we did is we cut pieces of this, stuck them in the wig, glued them down, put the hair back over it, bam. That is the most basic way on how wigs are made. Just very, very simple. Most of the time they're not glued in. Most of the time they're actually sewed in. And if you turn a wig inside out, you can actually see a wig is nothing but just a bunch of wefts sewn together over and over and over and over. So all we have to do is create our wefts, put them in, and bam, you're done. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass this around. You can actually see like the pieces of ribbon that we put in. So with this information, you now have the ability to modify any wig that you want. And I'll go ahead and pass these around on this side so you can kind of see what wefts are and just pass them back and forth.
You just put duct tape on either side of the
See, there's lots of ways you can do it. You can, there's like so many ways on how you can create wefts. There's the kind where you put it through a sewing machine and you actually sew the pieces of hair into like an organza strip or whatever, and then you can actually sew it into the wig. Yeah, that's too much work for me. I like cheap, easy, fast, quick, effective. So what I do is I take ribbon, and that's what those wefts right there were created like this. You take the ribbon, you put a strip of glue on the ribbon. Then you take the loose hair right here. That's what these cuts are. I cut the hair, and after I cut the hair, on the strip where I put the glue, I put the hair on it. Then I take another strip of ribbon with glue also on it, and I put it on top. I squish it together, let the glue dry, cut it with scissors, and bam, you have those wefts. It is as easy as it sounds, and that's what they'll look like. So once you do that, you can actually just glue it into your wig, and that's what it'll end up looking like. That one has very, very few pieces of it in. You can actually like flip it inside out and stuff like that, and you can see that. So you're like, okay, so that's how you make the weft. And making the tail is actually very, very, very similar. So this is my Octavia tail. And all I did was I got, it needs to be brushed. I got one of these packages. Where did I put my brown? Oh well, that's around here somewhere. So, oh, there it is. This is the exact one I used. I got one of these. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I got one of these. This is the exact same one. Actually, I got two of these. I'm sorry. This tail is two of these. So I got two of these. I opened up the packages. I got them to the very, very top, and you saw where that little loop was at the top, where the rubber band was. I got some scissors, and I just went through and I cut it, right? So I have my hair. And then I got glue, and I put glue all up at the top and just kind of squished the glue in there to make sure it was hard. That way, none of the hair can come undone. And there's a rubber band there, but I can actually, there's like a little scrunchie. I can take that scrunchie off. It's not glued on there. I can take it off, and this glue won't go anywhere. I just left the scrunchie in because it gave me something to put on the safety pin. I put the safety pin on, that way I can safety pin it to the inside part of my dress, and I have a tail that comes out. So this is one way on how you can make a tail, and you can make it out of any color. Octavia was like a dark brown black, so I ended up using this, and I'll go ahead and pass that around so you can see what I mean, how easy it is to just put glue in there, cut it, and you're done. Now some people will make it a lot prettier on the top. I highly recommend that. You can add like tape to it, different types of colored tape. You can add ribbon to the top and put a bow. That way when you put it on, you actually see a bow. Since that went into the dress, I didn't care. But that's what I would suggest, is put like tape, ribbon, bows. You can also use yarn. A lot of people will put yarn into the tail. It's the exact same method. So just glue and you're done. All right, so now let's get into actually changing and modifying the colors of a wig that say like is many, many, many colors. All right, so this is my Celestia wig that very much so needs to be fixed. This is this wig. I've worn this wig maybe, no joke, a good 15 times while wearing Celestia. So it's very, very damaged. But hey, it still works, you know. I just need to brush it out and it's good as new. All right, so with this wig, what I did is I actually went to an ethnic beauty supply shop and I bought a blonde wig. This wig right here was maybe like $24, $20, something like that, right? It's not very expensive. So I bought a blonde wig, and you can actually see some of the dye after wearing it like 15 times is slightly starting to come off at the top. But since I put a crown there, it doesn't really matter, you know, I don't have to go back in and like make sure that the color is very strong. Now here's the thing, if you want, like, can I use you as an example? If you want colors that are bright, vibrant, really, really intense, like those that are just gorgeous and beautiful, you need to buy it in that color. You cannot dye to this color. This color is too strong, too intense. With Celestia, on the other hand, I wanted something that was a little bit more muted. I wanted something that looked a little bit more real and faded, you know? So I wanted to dye the colors. So, you know, you've got your greens, your turquoises, your pinks, and I think the purple's already faded away. Oh, I need to fix this wig. And unfortunately, when you dye wigs, the color will start to go away after, you know, a little while. This is about a 2-year-old wig, so it's lasted 2 years, about 15 wears. It needs repairs now, but you can still kind of see it. Okay, so the way that I did this is, got a blonde wig and I changed these colors. How do you dye a wig? How do you change the colors, right?
Carefully.
Surprisingly, no, actually. This was done very uncarefully. All right, so the quickest way on how to dye a wig to one color, you get a Ziploc bag, okay? About a 1 gallon size Ziploc bag. Then you're gonna get Sharpie ink. And you're like, okay, this is getting weird. I'm listening. All right, so there's 2 ways on how you can get the Sharpie type ink. It's permanent ink. You can get a Sharpie and pop it open, and it literally just pops open. The top part just pops right off. And you can pull the inside out, which looks like a little long sponge. And you can squeeze all the ink out of that into the Ziploc bag and fill it with alcohol. Throw your wig in there, shake and bake it, pull your wig out, bam, it's now colored, you're done. That easy, no joke. Is that easy. Now there are places that sell bottles of permanent ink, the same kind that is used in Sharpie markers, and this is cheaper if you just buy the little bottle. Unfortunately, no place really sells it like offline. If you're in Houston, you're lucky because any place that has a Jerry's Artorama, does anybody know what a Jerry's Artorama is? It's an art shop. They sell the little bottles of the Sharpie dye ink, so you can already use that. Squeeze it into the plastic bottle, into the plastic bag, throw your wig in there, shake and bake it, pull it out, bam, it's dyed. Or you can put it inside of a little spray bottle, like the, you know, the kind of, you know what I'm talking about, those, exactly. So you're gonna put your ink inside one of those little bottles with alcohol. And when I say alcohol, I mean rubbing alcohol. And it has to be 91% isopropyl alcohol. That's the best one to use because it's the easiest one to find, and it dehydrates the, evaporates. It evaporates the quickest. So if you use the 70%, what happens is all the dye will drip down and just like drip down, and your wig won't dye very well, so you want to use 91%. You can just go to Walmart, Walgreens, any place has it, just as 91%. So what you do is you fill your little, what are those called? Spritz bottles with alcohol. And in this case, you can either put the drops of dye in there, the alcohol dye, or you can like literally take the entire alcohol, like little sponge tube, throw it in there, shake it up a bit, leave it overnight, let all the alcohol dye come out, and then you just spray it like that. And you have literally just colored your wig. That's how this was done. This was right before a convention, like 2 years ago. I was like, oh no, I forgot to make my wig. What am I gonna do? I had a bunch of markers with me and I was like, all right, it's time to make some Sharpie dye ink. And I literally just started spraying this on the balcony of the hotel, going like, oh, please don't paint this entire balcony. And I did this and bam, it was done and I wore it and it was great. But just like markers, it fades over time. So when you buy the ink individually, it actually lasts longer. So that's why I recommend that you buy it individually. And like I said, Jerry's Artorama carries it. There's one here in Houston, so you can buy it there. The little bottles are like $3 and they'll last you forever because it's really, really concentrated. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass this around just so you can see like how it's blonde still at the top because it's starting to fade, but you can see the colors. And once upon a time, this was almost as intense as that. Almost. So it's a lot more faded than like using it like that. And another thing that you'll notice on that wig is on the bottom part right here, on the inner part, it's incredibly, incredibly tangled, right? Has this ever happened to people with, like, I don't know who here has like used wigs a lot, but has anybody here ever had a wig and it just, You wear it to one convention and the next thing you know, it's like super, super tangled back here. And you're like, how do I keep this from exploding into a ball of tangles, right? Like, what do you do? All right, so what you do for that is you use a product called Oil Sheen. I'll pass this around too so you can see it. All right, so the Oil Sheen, it's just synthetic oil. That's all it is. Okay, so the way human hair, has anybody ever wondered why human hair doesn't tangle like crazy? I mean, if like, you know, thread on a needle tangles quickly, if, you know, like any type of thread tangles immediately.
Earbuds.
Yeah, these things tangle instantaneously. Like, how is it that the human hair does not tangle? How can we run our hands through our fingers through our hair, right? How? Well, the reason why is because the scalp produces this oily substance called sebum, which coats the strands of the hair. It's that oily substance that you're like, ah, why is my hair so oily? That stuff is what's keeping your hair from becoming this explosion of tangles, right? Wigs don't do that. Wigs can't produce their own oil, so we have to use synthetic oil. You coat your wigs in the oil, and what ends up happening is they don't tangle as much. Right before you wear a wig to a convention, coat it in the oil. Right after you take it off, coat it in the oil, brush it out. That one has not been brushed out yet, so it's still like a tangled mess. As soon as I spray it with oil, brush it out, it's fine. Yes?
What kind of brush is best for brushing through wigs?
Yes, let me see if I have my brush with me, because that's actually very important. The right brush will detangle it, the wrong brush will make it worse. As soon as I find it. Oh, I didn't bring one with me. I think I let my friend borrow it. Okay, so first off, it's not a brush.
It's a comb.
It's a comb, yes. Yeah, you can just leave those there. It's a pile of hair. So what ends up happening is brushes are designed to pull hair out. When you use a brush, do you ever look at it and you're like, oh my God, I'm going bald because it's just covered in hair? The reason why is because the way the thing is designed is it catches the hair, and if it's like loose or coming off, it pulls it out, and it keeps, you know, the human head nice because we keep growing hair. Wigs, on the other hand, do not grow hair, right? If it catches on a strand of the wig and pulls on it, what ends up happening, because this is plastic, you have to remember that. Wigs are plastic. If you pull on a strand, what ends up happening to plastic when you pull on it? Stretches. And what happens, has anybody here ever tried to like stretch like a plastic bag and you stretch it and you kind of like let it go? What happens? Kind of does this weird little curly, like, I don't know, like, has anybody here ever tried to do that? Like you pull on a strand of something and it kind of like deforms it and it kind of like has this weird shape afterwards? Well, that's because plastic takes on the shape of when you pull it, it doesn't like immediately elastic back. This is not a rubber band, this is plastic. So if you pull on it, it's gonna stretch and it's gonna warp. And what happens is when you brush the hair with a brush, you're pulling on the strands, they're stretching, and when they go back in, they like curl up and then just tangle, and it's an awful, awful mess. Also, static electricity makes everything just terrible. It sticks to each other and it's no longer loose. The oil also keeps the static electricity from happening, so as you're brushing it, it won't go all sorts of crazy with static. So that's really, really awesome about it. So what you want to use is a comb. Not a fine-tooth comb, the kind that we use for human hair. The combs that you use, no joke, the teeth are like that, and it's like kind of like that, and it's a little handle. And so it just looks like a big toothed comb like that with a handle, and that's what you use for wigs. You can also use your fingers because it's similar to that, but that's what you want to use. You can buy it at Sally's, you can buy those combs at Walmart, you can buy those combs almost anywhere. They have them everywhere. Just look for wide, that's what they're called, wide tooth combs. And the wider, not necessarily the better. Has anybody ever seen like sometimes there'll be these weird combs and they'll like stick them in the hair like in afros and they'll just kind of stay there? Those style of combs, okay? Except the ones with the long handle, and those are the ones that you want to use to try and brush the wigs out. They work the best. Or your hands. Once you put the oil on it, you'll be surprised. You'll like oil it up and you're like, oh my God, there are no tangles, like none at all. This is crazy. It really is that magical. That wig, on the other hand, once you wear it a certain amount of times, there's just no saving a wig, you know, like it's just gonna die after a couple of years and you just kind of have to redo it. So you can take all the care of the world, but wigs will only last you so long. Okay, so we've covered how to make tails, where to buy the loose hair, how to make the wefts. I'm sorry if I'm going fast. It's that way I can like ask questions in case you guys have like, I have this problem. What do I do? Oil sheen, I'll pass this around so you can actually see it. I bought this at Walmart. Like, just, it'll say oil sheen conditioning spray. Anything that says that, that's what you want to use for wigs. If it says something like made with, you know, all sorts of essential oils and olives and stuff like that, and it's super conditioning and healthy for your hair, yeah, don't get those because they're more expensive, and real oils go rancid. They're meant to be washed out of the human hair, right? Because as humans, we take showers, we wash our hair. Wigs, you don't really need to wash them. You really, really don't need to wash them. So you want to use synthetic oil that won't go bad over time, okay? Otherwise your wigs will kind of start to smell funky. So the less natural the oils, unfortunately, the better. That's how wigs work. So there's oil sheen. Is there, I think, oh yeah, some people ask me what kind of glue on another panel to use. These are the two glues that I use to create my wefts. If I have a lot of time and I'm really, really being cheap, I'll use this, which is the worst fabric glue ever invented by man, but it is the best wig glue. Oh my God, this stuff right here. And then if I'm running short on time and I really need to hurry and rush, and I've got a little bit more money to spend, I'll use this, Fabri-Tac, which is the glue of the cosplay gods. So those are the two glues I use. Also, this right here makes the best spiking glue for wigs ever. Terrible fabric glue, amazing wig glue. So that's just the gold bottle of tacky glue, the one that's like $1 or $2 at Walmart. This stuff, fantastic for wigs. Do you want me to pass this around, or you're? I don't think so.
I think we've all seen that.
Yeah, it's the terrible stuff that you want to avoid unless you're using wigs. Has anybody ever seen like those wigs that they see on the internet that are like spiked all crazy, and you're just like, oh my God, how did they do this? That's the glue they're using. You want to avoid gels. This is really important. With a wig, never, ever, ever, under any circumstance, use hair gel. Hair cement? Yes. Hair gel? No. The reason why, hair gel, have you noticed how if you leave hair gel open, it just stays there? Like nothing happens to it. It doesn't really dry out. It's just hair gel. It's a chemical that only reacts with the natural oils in your human hair. When it reacts with the oils in the human hair, it turns hard. That's how hair gel works. But what do wigs not have?
Natural human hair.
Exactly. So when it comes in contact with the plastic, it never gets hard. It just turns into this tacky, gooey, nasty thing that just stays in your wig, and you're like, why won't you get hard? And it's because it doesn't have sebum, which is, you know, the oils in your hair. So you usually have to wash your wig out. When you wash your wig, you always risk damaging it, and it's just like, it's trouble. Whereas hair cement just solidifies with air. You know, that's why you want to keep a lid on your hair cement. So there's that. Remember, wigs are plastic. They are not human hair. They are not treated the same.
How long does it take to dry hair with glue or cement?
The hair or wigs?
Wigs.
Wigs. Whenever you use the glue, if you use this stuff, you want to leave it overnight to really, really get hard. Okay, overnight, then use this. If you use this, maybe like less than 5 minutes and it's done. Okay. So that's why when you're in a hurry, you want to use Fabri-Tac.
If you're trying to create a wig with like vinyl style hair, and it's coming out one side and it keeps going down.
You're talking about styling. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about wefting. Okay, that stuff's only for wefting. Okay, for styling, the best stuff that you can use has got to be glued, okay? That is magic on wigs, okay? So if you just want to do basic styling where you kind of like create the shape and kind of keep it with like hairspray, got to be glued, or like Aquanet or whatever, but got to be glued is awesome. And the way that, so you're having a problem where you create your thing and it just kind of like keeps turning, is that it?
Well, it's gravity, mostly.
Okay. Okay. So what you can do there is whenever your wig, do you have your wig on something like this, a wig head?
No, I'm just starting out.
Okay. They sell these at like Sally's. It's a beauty supply. Just type in Sally's, like the name of your city, Google Sally's. So this wig head should cost you maybe like $250. This is definitely worth having.
They actually sell those at Hobby Lobby as well.
Oh, okay. So see, Hobby Lobby has
For
them
about
too.
$4.
Yes.
Is Ulta good for this kind of stuff?
Is what?
Ulta. It's a beauty shop that's in my area.
Oh, okay. Probably. I mean, it doesn't hurt to go ask and check. Every single beauty supply is a little bit different because most of them are owned by like a mom and pop. They're usually mom and pop shops, or they have a single business owner, and every single one of them will carry something differently. So just go in there and check it out. See if they carry wigs. See if they carry any of the like hairsprays or stuff like that. But most of them should have what you need, especially wet. Like this. This is what you're looking for in the beauty shops. Definitely this. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on here, and this might be what's happening with your wig. Whenever you style a wig, you want to put it on a wig head. Like you definitely want to put it on a wig head. And the reason why is because when you put it on a wig head, you can actually style it as though it were on your own head. So when you need to make the like any type of stuff like that, and say like you spray it, and you're like, all right, I want it to stay like this. But the problem is you let go and it falls down again, right? And you're like, well, what do I do, right? Well, yeah. Time? How much time do I have left? Till 2:30?
2:30. I thought it was 2. Never mind.
Okay, yeah. 2:30.
Okay, never mind. Sorry, guys.
Stop trying to rush her.
It's not my fault. I'm so sorry.
All right, so like, yeah, why won't it stay? All right, so let's say I sprayed this with Got to Be Glued, right? And I want this to stay up like that, okay? So I spray this with Got to Be Glued. What I can do then is I can use a bobby pin this and stick it into the because this is foam, I can jam it in there. And I can just kind of hold it in place and leave it there overnight till it dries, you know? And when I come back and I remove the bobby pin and I pull it out of the styrofoam thing, oh, you better believe it will be like that. It'll just stay. Right? Now let's say that this end right here, I want it to be a beautiful, perfect spike. And I spray it down with Got to Be Glued, and I try to do that, but it's still like that. Like there's like, I don't know what to do. So like, okay, I want this to be a nice, beautiful, perfect spike. That's when I use this stuff right here. I'll just put a glob on it at the end, and start spiking it with my fingers like that. Wait for it to dry, get some scissors, cut it at an angle, bam, perfect. Like, that's how you get those flawless spikes that you see on all those wigs on the internet where they're just like magically beautiful and you're like, there's no way that somebody can do this, but they just did. That's what they're doing. They're just using that, creating a spike, cutting the tip with scissors, and bam, you have a perfect spike. That's all it is. So let's say that you don't want to wait overnight. You're like, no, I just want to wait a couple of minutes. Like, how do I get this to stay in a weird position in a couple of minutes? Well, you use the Got to Be Glued. But Got to Be Glued, by the way, it's a hairspray. It's a brand of types of like hair cement, hairspray, hair gel, that type of stuff. So you want to get the Got to Be Glued hairspray. Usually the one that says something like instant freeze or maximum hold or whatever. That's like the best stuff for wigs. Okay, so you spray it with the Got to Be Glued, you put it in its position, and you get a hair blow dryer, and you set it to low. And you just kind of blow it for a couple of minutes. What happens is it's a combination of the heat and the air. The air dries the glue, but at the same time, the heat, just a little bit, like, doesn't melt the plastic, but it makes the plastic structurally weaker, so that when it cools down, it's kind of stuck in that position, but it didn't melt. Like, you guys know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the heat will just kind of warp it into that shape. So you'll get the plastic slightly warped into that shape, plus it'll dry way quicker, and when it's completely dry, pull the bobby pin out or whatever, and it'll stay in that shape. So start off with a wig head, and you can get them at like Hobby Lobby, at any beauty supply shop, even Sally's, like all of them will carry them. They should be anywhere from around $2.50 to $4. They have girl wig heads and then they have guy wig heads. The only difference between the two is that the guy wig heads are slightly larger. So if you have a big head, you want to go with the guy wig head. If you have a smaller head, you want to go with the girl wig head. That, or if you're like, you know, under the age of like 17 or whatever and are female, you definitely want to go with one of the, like these, because they also work as little kid wig heads. Because, I don't know, they only have 2 sizes. Okay, so I hope that helped.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Does anybody else have any questions about, yes?
I tried to make a tail out of Necklon fiber. Because I saw a tutorial on YouTube, I pulled it out of the package and immediately came up on itself. I couldn't use it.
Yes.
What's better to make a tail out of?
Well, you can use that. The problem is, did you, because yeah, I know what you're talking about. This is Kanekalon. By the way, in case people are wondering, there's 3 basic types of wig fibers. There's Kanekalon, Toyokalon, and Yaki, or that stuff, the braidy, poofy, crazy stuff. Usually when you want to use colors like this and have them be straight and gorgeous, God, I love your wig, and just like make it look beautiful like this is Kanekalon. It's very, very straight, very, very straightforward. Yaki, on the other hand, is what this wig tail is made out of. It looks and feels like human hair. This does not look like human hair, like, you know, even the color, it just doesn't look like human hair. This looks like it could actually, you know, be human hair if, you know, brushed out a little bit. It usually has a little tail flip at the bottom. So I'm gonna actually bring this to you.
Oh, what is it called, Yaki?
No, Toyokalon.
Oh, Toyokalon.
Yeah, if you touch Toyokalon, it actually has the, yeah, exactly. Whereas this one is just like straight. Yeah. So when you pull yours out, did you take this off? Yeah, leave that in. What you do is leave the rubber band in. So don't take this off. Cut this thing off, right? Take some scissors, cut that like that, keep the rubber band on, and start filling this up with glue. This is what if you touch it, it's permanently out, right? You need to get it. Okay. And then, yeah, that's maybe one of the little 3 once you brush it out. This is probably no, it's actually keeps less than this. This is the thing that keeps the most. Okay. So, yeah, then you just attach like your thing, flip it on, you'll add it in ribbons, put a bow on it. But yeah, the trick is just to keep this, to keep it from going all crazy. And then you use it. This, yes, it also does. Yeah. So you can just Kanekalon, Toyokalon, instead of working hair, and then glue it up at the top, and you can add, you know, like whatever to put it in, and then to keep it from going crazy, like, you know, knots everywhere. Yeah. Use oil sheen, which is right here. Yes. Yeah, it's called oil sheen conditioning spray. It's meant for wigs. Neither of these have it yet. I haven't sprayed it in yet, so I can actually do that right now. Can everybody? Here, I will. Thank you. Oh yeah. Because you guys kind of felt what this looked like, what this felt like, right? Yeah. So it wasn't like, you know, there was still a couple of little kinks in it, right? So but I don't have my brush. I forgot. I was gonna do that and bring the brush and like brush it out. Well, I can still spray it. Okay, so. This has never been sprayed yet. I wore it one time and I was rushing, so I didn't spray it, and I felt really terrible because it got a little bit tangled, and I was like, if I'd sprayed it, it wouldn't have gotten tangled. So, like, if you're doing it for the first time, just coat it in there. There's no such thing as it being too much. The first time, just coat it in. And then every time after that, you don't have to put a lot. Okay, so it's in there. And now, if I start moving my hands through it, I can slowly start to get these tangles out. If I had my brush, this would be so much quicker, sorry. Another thing is that the longer the hair... Oh, yes! Can I borrow that? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, wig brush. Okay, so when it's long hair, the easiest thing to do is just get it on the floor. Just get everything out. And like the brush is just going right through it. Oh, it's awesome. Okay, so once you get some of that out. And the good news is that if you do this straight out of the package, there's not a single, like, what do you call it, knot for it to get into. Because if you wait afterwards, oh, there's going to be knots. And if you come across a knot like I got one here, just do it from the side like this, break the knot apart, and then it'll go right through it again. Okay, so this is what you do, and it'll be really, really oily, but the cool thing is that by like that afternoon or like the next day or something, all that oiliness is gone. It's completely gone, and it just feels even more like human hair. Like it literally just feels like human hair. It's kind of slightly creepy. I have a buddy of mine that actually made a tail to match his hair exactly. And he wore it, and people were like freaking out because they're like, "Did you cut your hair? Like, is that your, like, oh, that's so weird. Like, dude, take that off. That's so weird." So, but okay, so you can kind of see how this is exactly how you just brush it. But the wig just goes, I mean, the brush, see how it's starting to just go through it? And when you're brushing it, start off at the bottom. That's also important. Start off at the bottom. Okay, here's a knot. Break that up. Start at the bottom and work your way up. Kind of like with human hair. Okay, is there any other question while I keep brushing this? Almost done. Sweet.
This isn't directly related to names or tails. But
Yeah.
if you wanted to color your skin like purple or something, what would be the best way to do that?
Ah, that's there's actually three ways that you can do that. One is by airbrushing, but let's not go there because most people don't have that machine. The second way is there's a company called Ben Nye. There's another one called Mehron. I would recommend both of those. Oh, there's not. They have makeups that will cover your skin completely. Like, have you seen any Homestuck cosplayers or people that just paint their whole skin like Mystique? All right, so what they use is, actually there's another one called, I think it's like Snookies or Sookies, whatever. Ben Nye and Mehron are the ones I recommend. They have cream foundation in whatever color you want, and what you do is you put that on as a foundation, powder it, put it on again if you want, powder it. Keep doing that to build up the intensity you want, but usually you only need to put it on once or twice to have your skin completely be that color. There's so that's the cream foundation, and then there's another one that's called cake foundation. The way that one works is you put water in there with a sponge it up into there, and just put it on your skin, and it dries, and that's it. It doesn't rub off onto anything because, oh, by the way, this is completely, like, so I can do this to it now, just run it right through. Like, it will not tangle. Once it's done, it's done. I can keep doing that. So I can literally just sit here, oh, I'm running around all day at a con, oh, I'm running around all day at a con, oh, I'm running around all day at a con. Brush goes right through it. So that's the power. And see how like nice it looks now? It's all like pretty. Anyway, super oily. But by tomorrow, all the oil is gonna be completely gone, and it just won't tangle anymore. I can pass this around if you want, but let me see how oily this is. Yeah, it's slightly oily. Yeah. I don't know does anybody want to see this? It's oily. Yes, go ahead.
Would you want to hang that tail, or would you want to like lay it down?
Yes, to put your tails away. This was yours. Yes, awesome. Slightly oily. Sorry about that. Okay, to put your wigs away, you want to actually do neither. Leaving them out in the open leads to tangling, believe it or not, because of things like static electricity or dust falling on them. And that dust builds up friction whenever you try to brush it out, and so they get tangled just sitting there doing nothing. So what you actually want to do, and I can do that to this guy, you want to take your tail. Oh my god, I'm never going to get tangled now. So you're going to take your tail, and you're going to hold it, or your mane, your wig, whatever. Like, you can do this to your wigs, hold it in the center, stick it inside of a bag, like that. Zip it up. And that's it. That's how you put it away. You like stick it somewhere and flatten it with something. I mean, you know, like your bags or whatever. No, you actually don't want to flatten it. But you can just throw this anywhere now. Nothing is going to happen to this. See, wigs are plastic, but it's very, very resilient plastic, which means that it's not going to get deformed unless it's already been styled like an actual wig. This is not going to get deformed, so when you pull it out again and like flop it out, it's perfect. It's ready to go. This wig right here, because this wig does not have, doesn't have anything styled into it. It doesn't have hair cement. It doesn't have hairspray. It doesn't have anything. The way I put this one away is, where's my bag for this one? Oh, I brought this one on this. My bad. Okay, so if I were to put this away inside of a plastic bag, here's Celestia's. If I were to put this away in a plastic bag, I would literally just knock it in, close it, done.
What about if it has hair cement?
If it has hair cement, what you want to do is you want to keep it on a wig head like this. You need to keep it on a wig head, because what happens is the wig does not deform, the hair cement deforms. Especially if you live in a place like Houston where the combination of heat and humidity will warp anything that has like hair product in it. So you want to keep it on a wig head at all times if it has any type of styling. And what that does is it keeps it in its shape. And you're like, well, what about the problem with like dust or whatever? You can, if you want, cover it like with a plastic bag or whatever. Just cover it slightly and leave it alone. That'll keep the dust off of it. Try to keep it in a cool place, because again, heat will mess it up, humidity will mess it up, stuff like that. But keep it on a wig head, definitely. Also, I forgot to mention, in your wig heads, you want to keep a couple of pins at all times. Because when you put the wig head on and you're going to work on it and brush it, if you put it on and brush it, it's just going to flop over, right? So you use the pins and you just pin the wig head on. Pin it in, put it in like that, and you are good. And that way you can just leave it there and brush it all you want, and it won't flop over and like fall off. So definitely pin your wig heads on.
Yeah.
What's up?
15 minutes more.
Okay.
And we're already got everything else packed up.
Cool. Does anybody have, oh wait, did that answer the question? Cool. Did it answer your question about Ben Nye, Mehron, cream foundation, or cake foundation? And if you do use the cake foundation, I'm sorry, I got like off topic. If you do use the cake foundation, they have this other stuff. It's called Final Seal, and then it's another one that's called, it's like a mixing liquid. Instead of using water to put it on you, if you use this mixing liquid into it and put it on there, it's waterproof, sweat-proof, life-proof, won't rub off, and you can just keep layering it to get it more and more intense. So I forgot what that's called. I think it's called like Seal On or something like that, but just ask them. It's the Final Seal and the something else. They sell them usually next to each other. Yeah, and then, so I would recommend the cream foundation just because it's easiest to work with. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, anybody else have any questions? Oh, and you gotta powder it. Powder it, otherwise it'll rub off onto everything.
Translucent powder?
Yeah, you can use translucent powder, and sometimes they'll sell powder in the color that you wanna like. So if you want like lavender, they'll sell lavender powder sometimes, but that's not every color comes in it. But yeah, translucent powder works fine. Okay, any other questions about wigs or anything else? Yes?
Once you have the skin makeup on you,
Yeah.
how do you get it off?
Shower.
Because some things
Yeah. A lot of this stuff, if you've got, like if it's just face type stuff, then you can use the makeup wipes, or if you just, can't take a shower, makeup wipes, they'll get it off. But usually you gotta jump in the shower and soap and scrub it. That's all there is to it.
okay, because some things require baby oil and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, that one's, they make these paints to like come off when you hit it with soap, it comes right off. Which not grease paint. That's the difference between professional stuff like Ben Nye and Mehron and stuff, and then the stuff that you buy at like Party City or like at Halloween shops. That stuff is made out of like grease-based oil paints. So when you put that on, even soap won't get that stuff off easy. It's very difficult, and that rubs off on everything. Any other questions about wigs? Okay, let me talk about how to attach things to your wigs, like horns, for example. Horns, ears, things like that. The easiest, quickest non-permanent way to do it is the ears or the horns, hot glue or just poke holes in and attach like little, what do you call it? The best ones to use, in my opinion, and everybody has different methods, is alligator clips. They look like these things, and I'll pass this around. What you do with this is you glue it on, use a zip tie or whatever. That way you can clip it into your wig anywhere and it'll stay. So I'll just go ahead and pass that. They're like little alligator type clip thingies. Or you can use bobby pins. You can use the little like snap-on hair pieces. You can put those on too. The reason why I like the alligator one is because it's strong enough to go through big chunks of hair, whereas some of the bobby pins won't, whereas some of the bobby pins over time, they'll slide down or slide off. You know, they won't stay in there for 7 hours if you want them to. And then the problem with some of the little hair clips is that they can't take large chunks of hair either. They have to be like just a little bit. So those guys, oh, awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yes?
I use bare earth magnets. That way.
Oh, perfect. See, that's awesome.
And then I can still brush them.
Exactly. So another thing that you can do is, like she said, you can use magnets, glue them onto the inner part, like here it is. On your wigs, if you turn them inside out. The areas that you want to glue stuff, if you are going to glue stuff like that to the inside of your wig, is this part right here. This is the most stabilized part. And even then, you probably don't want to do that to this. You actually want to take some fabric, glue the fabric on there, then glue whatever you're going to glue onto there, and then glue some more fabric on there. That way it has a really, really stable area where it won't like destroy the wefting or the like knitting. Because this isn't very strong really. It's like a lace material. I don't know if anybody like really saw this or got to touch with it, but it's like a lace material, you know? So over time, if something is constantly pulling on it or tugging at it, it has a tendency to just rip after a while. So you definitely want to stabilize it with some fabric. So that's a fantastic idea, the rare earth magnets. Because yeah, we've done that with, but never with the horns. Like it never occurred to me. Brilliant. Totally gonna go do that now. So this is what panels are useful, because you can like share information. Does anybody else have any other questions or suggestions or ideas? Yes.
Where do you normally get, I don't know if you talked about this, but
Yeah.
where do you normally get body detail?
Ah.
I have an airbrush kit.
Oh,
and
perfect.
I'm thinking about trying to get into more body.
Okay, then you're gonna love this. Are you from Houston?
No.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
Okay, I don't know where to get it in San Antonio, but for those of you who are in Houston, Frankel's, it's a costume shop down like near, it's on Polk Street near the downtown area. Just type in Frankel's Costume Shop Houston in Google. That is one of the best places, period, to ever shop for anything theater and makeup related. Like it has everything Ben Nye, everything Mecron. It is amazing. It is so amazing. It's one of the reasons why you would want to live in Houston for costuming. There are not many reasons. That is one of them. Dallas has a bunch of them. I actually don't know of any costume shop in San Antonio that carries this stuff, but you can order it online. So if you're gonna order it online, Mecron and Ben Nye both carry fantastic, what do you call it? Oh, it's called, what is it called? Magic, I think the Mecron one is called Magic something or other, but just type in the airbrush makeup stuff and it'll be the brand, Mecron or Ben Nye. And on average, it'll be about $10 for like a bottle, but the bottle will last you forever. But yeah, that's the stuff you want to use. That's the good stuff. Any other questions? Okay, let's see. What else can we? Let me think.
I got a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I do cosplay as a warrior. I keep having trouble keeping my mustache to stay on.
Okay. Do you use spirit gum?
I used to.
That would be your first problem. Okay. Okay, so if you have any type of prosthetic or hairpiece, like beard, mustache, whatever, they have this stuff called spirit gum. It's this weird yellow tacky goo that they sell, and that's what they use to keep all the prosthetic stuff on. So you put that on, the little bit of spirit gum, and it's called that, spirit gum. You put that on, and what you do, this is a mistake that a lot of people do, is they'll immediately put on the prosthetic or the hairpiece. You gotta wait a little while. Wait, you know, like a minute or two or something like that until you touch it and it gets a little bit tacky. Kind of like glue that's halfway dry. So it's a little tacky. Then you put the hairpiece on, kind of press it in, and that's it, you're done, it'll stay. And the reason why you want to use that stuff is because the human skin is very elastic, and as we've already learned, it likes to produce oils. And so what ends up happening with normal glues is the oils literally create a barrier between the glue and the skin. And so what ends up happening over time is it creates that barrier and they come apart. Whereas spirit glue, it works with that barrier. So even though you're sweating and like oils and all this other stuff, it will come off over time, but not like, you know, you'll get a good like, you know, 7 hours of wearing it before it really starts to peel. And so what ends up happening is it'll just stick. And then to get it off, because it is just that good, you need to buy Spirit Gum Remover. You need to buy the remover, trust me. Trust me, buy the remover. You try to peel it off without that and you will not be growing a mustache for a while. Any other questions? Even if it's not like entirely wig related or anything about wigs. Yes? Oh, if you got stuff in your wig? Okay, so like stuff that you don't want in there, you need to wash it out. Okay, so what happens when you get stuff in your wig and you need to wash your wig, right? Okay, washing your wig, what ends up happening when you wash your wig is water. See, here's the problem. Washing your wig is not bad. The problem is most people don't really wash their wig carefully, and so when they pull it out, it ends up damaging the wig. Usually, like if it's a long wig and you get it wet and you pull it out, the weight of the water pulls on it. And remember, we already talked about what happens when you pull on the wigs, and so it ends up kind of stretching them a little bit, just a little bit, but it's enough that it tangles up like crazy. So whenever you wash your wig and it's a long wig, you don't want to like leave it standing, even though you're like, oh, I'll just let it drip dry. What you actually want to do is lay it flat. You don't want weight pulling on it, so just lay it flat. All right, so how do you wash your wig? You can, if it's a really big wig or a really big project and it's kind of like a 3D shape because it's got a bunch of like hair cement or stuff in it. By the way, this tacky glue, what's awesome about it is if you use it for spikes, this can still be washed out. So this is another reason why people use this. It can be washed out. So you fill up your bathtub with lukewarm water, not hot water, lukewarm water, because hot water will do what? Slightly modify the wig fibers. So you put it in there and you want to use very like, you can use any type of soap really, like I don't know, dish detergent soap, mild soap, any type of soap, it really doesn't matter. So long as you spray it with some oil afterwards, because when you, a lot of people don't know this, when you buy wigs from the factory, believe it or not, they come pre-sprayed with some oil. These don't. When you buy them like this, they don't. That's why whenever you try to make like tails out of this type of stuff, you have to spray it because this does not come pre-sprayed. Wigs do. You buy them at the store and you don't realize that they've been sprayed with oils. But they have, but they've just, remember how I told you you can spray it and by the next day it's like, oh, it's no longer oily? That's because it kind of like, I don't know, that magic happens overnight. Exactly, it wasn't oil, and so that's why you're like, why is this exploding all over the place? Exactly. Oh yeah, it's a big mess, and you're like, wow, it's like oil spray. Shh. So that's why like I just sprayed my tail down, and like that thing will never tangle again. And just, you know, after every single convention, just spray it down again. So when you want to wash it, fill up the bathtub with water and some soap or whatever. It doesn't have to be a lot of soap, very, very little amounts of soap. Or you can fill up a bucket, a big bucket, fill it with water, and you put your wig in there. If it has a lot of gunk in it to where it just needs to sit there for a while, leave your wig there. It's plastic. Water's not going to damage it, okay? You just leave it in there. If it's like a big chunk of just something and you're like, I don't even how to what now, you can just leave it there overnight, come back in the next day, and you can actually try to like peel it apart inside the water, you know, kind of rub it really hard with some soap or whatever, because you can brush it out later, you know, just try to get that gunk off of it. And then, you know, pull it out, just lay it down on like a towel, let it dry. It'll dry after a couple of hours. Spray it down with some oil, brush it out again. If you notice that there's still gunk in there and you're like, I just can't get this out still, I don't know what to do, then you may actually need to move into the phase to where you actually cut out that weft, which sounds a lot crazier than what it actually is. Each one of the wefts in this wig, each one of them is removable. It is sewn in, which means that I can go in there and if I wanted to, cut it out, pull it out, create a new weft, put it in, like with glue, and bam, I'm done. Like, where is this? Because remember that's what we talked about earlier at the beginning of the panel, how to create the wefts, how to cut them, how to put them in. That's exactly, this is why this technology is so amazing, is because if you mess up your wig and you're like, oh no, there's like a bunch of, I don't know, like Elmer's glue. Well, actually Elmer's glue you can wash out. Let's say, I don't know, hot glue. A bunch of hot glue fell in your wig and you're like, oh, it's ruined. No, it's not. You can just cut that piece out, create some wefts, put the wefts in there, and you're fine. Is that kind of hopefully answering it? Okay, cool. If you weren't at the beginning of the panel and you don't know how to create the wefts out of loose hair, ask me out there, or you can just type it into Google. There's tons of tutorials on how to do it. How to create wefts. Let me check the time. Hold on.
It's 2:31.
Okay, 2:31. That's what I was saying. It's like, I don't think there's enough time to like go over that again. But I guess unless there's any other questions, oh yes, cool.
How do you style a tail?
A tail. So you want to like curl it and stuff, or like
spike it, curl it, whatever.
Okay. So the problem with tails, and this is a very, very hit and miss thing, is whenever you have a long strand of hair, styling that to be like a spike this way is near impossible because the base will just like turn, right?
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is you actually, I wish I had it with me. You want to like create a tail and have it be like spikes or something like that. Okay, what that is you're actually not going to have one long strand of hair. What you're going to do is you're going to have something, say like a rope, okay? Rope the length of your tail. And what you're going to do, and like see if you can imagine this, because I'm actually going to use Ryan's knife here. Okay, so like let's pretend, actually no, the length of an epic tail. Okay, so let's say that this is your rope, okay? You're going to take a ton of wefts. You're just going to make a bunch of them, right? A really, really long one. And what you're going to do is you're going to glue it on and start wrapping it around. Like that, and just wrap, and then wrap. And you're just gonna keep wrapping over and over and over, and start at the bottom, and just wrap all the way up. And by the time you're done, this whole thing is gonna be covered in blue, right? And it's gonna look like one long blue. So you can kind of see how it's underneath it, and then I wrapped on top, and the next would be on top, and on top, and on top, and after a while you'd have enough. Then what you can do is you can take portions of it and start spiking it, while you still have some on the bottom, and you can spike that, and some on the bottom, and you can spike it. So you can now make lots of different spikes or do lots of cool things. But because it's just something like a rope, it's still flexible. You can still move it around. When you walk, it'll still move. People will see it and they'll be like, oh my God, I have, what? Because it's not physically possible to do that with one long strand, right? And that's why you have to do it like that. You have to wrap it around something like a rope, or rope is usually the best because it's easy to just twirl it around, and that's how you get that effect. Another reason why making wefts is a very, very important like ability. Any other like crazy questions like that? Yes.
What's your name?
I'm Doug Finn. Okay, yeah. I wish I had cards to give y'all because actually Doug Finn, DUGFINN@gmail.com. If anybody has any questions or whatever, you can find me on Facebook. You can email me. That's my name for everything. And I remember you. I know, right? I've been missing so many meetings, and it's like, oh. But I made it to Fiesta Equestria.
Yes.
But yeah, like, just feel free to contact me. It's DougFinn, DUGFINN@gmail.com, or find me on Facebook. Just send me messages and I will try my best to like, here's a link to an example of something what I'm talking about, or, you know, an item that I've used that I know works. So I hope that you guys got something beneficial out of this, and yay. All right, bye.